Well, we've absolutely all been there, right? You're sitting there staring at this blinking cursor on a totally blank screen, and you've got this literal mountain of incredibly dense, peer-reviewed PDFs just sitting open in your browser tabs. Honestly, the feeling of being completely overwhelmed by all that information and having zero idea how to actually start synthesizing it is practically a universal student experience. Blank page syndrome is real, and managing the sheer volume of modern academic literature, it can feel like an impossible climb. But what if I told you that you could have a structured, highly efficient system to guide you from that terrifying blank page all the way to a beautifully polished final draft? Well, welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to build exactly that.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our agenda, which is basically our complete step-by-step project blueprint. First, we'll look at your overall AI workflow. Then, we'll move into mastering dense source material, finding expert evidence, navigating the drafting process, and finally giving your work that final visual polish. This right here is your roadmap to transforming from an overwhelmed student into a highly efficient researcher.
All right, Section 1, your AI research workflow and the modern student's dilemma. Look, before we even touch the specialized tools, we absolutely need a strong foundation. And for general usage, large language model, you really can't do much better right now than Google's free cool Gemini. It's fantastic for studying, writing, finding references, the whole shebang. But the absolute best feature for students is its Help Me Learn function. See, if you need to solve a tricky math problem or grasp a really complex concept, Gemini doesn't just hand you the answer. No way. It actually breaks down the problem and asks you guiding questions so you tackle the logic together. It's guided learning at its very best, and honestly, it's the perfect starting point for our workflow. Because to tackle modern assignments efficiently, we can't just haphazardly bounce back and forth between reading and writing. We have to actively overcome that information overload, and we do that by structuring our complex assignments using a chronological workflow. We want to move logically from understanding raw data through that guided AI problem solving all the way to finalizing a polished draft. If we stick to this path, we literally eliminate the chaos.
So let's move right along to Section 2, Mastering Your Source Material. This is where we clear the first major hurdle of basically any research project, getting a massive amount of complex, super dense information out of your syllabus and actually into your mind. And for this, we turn to a really fantastic tool called Notebook LM. The workflow here is a literal game changer. Step 1, you just upload your sources. This could be your lecture notes, documents, really whatever you need to understand. Step 2, you generate a mind map. Now, this is vital because it gives you this perfect top-down view of your entire syllabus, visually connecting all those concepts you need to know. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. And then step 3, you create a custom quiz. By tweaking the settings, you can ask for fewer questions or set it to an easier difficulty if you're, just starting out in the field. Notebook LM even offers audio and video overviews if you happen to be a more auditory or visual learner. It's just the ultimate tool for cramming complex concepts into your brain without the headache. Sometimes, though, you're going to encounter a peer-reviewed academic PDF that is just painfully dense. Enter Explainpaper. You upload your PDF for free, highlight the text that's confusing you, and just hit Explain. And this brilliantly illustrates the power of the tool. You can instantly tailor the explanation to your exact comprehension level. Whether you need it broken down for a 5-year-old, an undergrad, or an expert, Explainpaper translates all that academic jargon into something you can actually digest. Unlimited and completely for free. How cool is that? Which brings us to Section 3, Finding Expert Evidence. Once you actually understand your material, the next logical step in your project is securing real expert evidence to build your arguments. You've got to know what the latest research actually reflects, right? To do this, we use a completely free tool called Consensus. Now, instead of just searching for links like you would on Google, you're literally asking the research a direct question. Take a look at this real, practical search query. Is creatine good for me? When you ask Consensus a micro-narrative question like this, the AI goes through the literature, actually reads the papers for you, and extracts the vital, important information you need to know about that specific topic. And here is the absolute best part of Consensus, the Consensus meter. For our creatine question, the tool distills incredibly complicated expert literature into a single, easily understandable metric. Boom. It shows that 83% of the papers say, yes, it is good for you, 2% say possibly, and 0 say no. If you're writing a paper, this gives you immense confidence that you're heading in the right direction. It literally takes hours of literature review and turns it into one clear data point. All right, we have finally reached the climax of our research project in Section 4, Drafting. This is where we conquer that blank page syndrome head on.
But because you're writing all the time as a student, it is absolutely critical to understand the stark difference between using an AI as a supportive co-pilot versus relying on it as an auto-writer. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how distinctly these two tools operate. Paperpal is your ultimate co-pilot. When you open a blank document, it sits right alongside you. If you're scared to start, you can ask it for an introduction template or have it brainstorm an outline for your report. It even has tools to rewrite your text to make it sound more academic or improve fluency. You are still the driver. Paperpal is just navigating. Meanwhile, Jenni AI acts as an auto-writer. With Jenni AI, you provide a structure, turn on the autocomplete function, and the AI actively spills out the writing for you. It's a semi-guided process where it suggests the next sentences and even automatically adds citations at the bottom as it goes. Actually, scratch that. We need to pause here and consider a very serious warning. Jenni AI is a fantastic tool if you are absolutely terrified of writing, but it operates in what educators consider a gray zone. It makes some teachers pretty uncomfortable, and honestly, for good reason. You can so easily outsource too much of your thinking to a tool like this. You must stay in control. You have to be strict with yourself, actually read the output, interact with the generated text, and never blindly accept what it writes. If you just let it do all the heavy lifting, it will absolutely hinder your learning and growth as a student. Finally, we reach section 5, the final visual polish. You've understood the material, you've gathered the evidence, and you've drafted the paper. Now it's time to realize that a picture really does paint 1,000 words. Including visual elements is a crucial step in making your final report engaging and easy to understand. For this, we look to a really cool tool called Plotty.art. Plotty is brilliant because it allows you to easily generate the exact images, diagrams, or plots your report needs. You can simply type in a text prompt of what you want to say, and it'll generate an image or a diagram for you. Or if you have actual data to visualize, you can just upload your Excel or CSV files, and Plotty will create nice, clean data plots for you. It is a really easy, free way to capture information visually. Just keep in mind the free version does leave a small watermark on your exported images, which, is a pretty minor trade-off for such a useful utility. So the crucial point is how this all comes together into a seamless workflow. Let's recap. We start in phase 1, using Notebook LM and Explainpaper to truly understand and map out our dense sources. Then we move to phase 2, relying on consensus to quickly gather hard expert evidence to back up our claims. Next, we hit phase 3, actively drafting our paper with a co-pilot like Paperpal to beat that blank page syndrome. And finally, phase 4, we visualize our data and concepts using Plotty to give the report a really professional polish. Boom, that is a complete end-to-end system. We now have this incredible suite of tools right at our fingertips. But, it leaves us with a pretty profound question to consider. When AI handles the initial reading, distills the evidence, guides the drafting, and even illustrates the final data, what will the true value of a student's research be tomorrow? It's a fascinating shift in how we learn and create, isn't it? Well, I hope this explainer has given you a powerful new workflow to conquer your next assignment. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.